Good evening and welcome to the February 4th council meeting. If you'd please stand, Councilmember Hargrove is going to lead us in the pledge to our flag.
Everyone, place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You can be seated. Our first presentation this evening is recognition of our 2019 Chino Youth Boxing Foundation Award winners. I'd like to call up Youth Boxing Club coach Abraham Ortega and any other board members that happen to be here this evening. I think we have a lot of people out with colds. Abraham? Okay. Tell us a little bit about the program before we call out the names.
Well, good evening. Chino Boxing Club has been, it was established in the 1960s, and it was first gang diverse program, but now it's grown so much that we're beyond that. We have a lot of kids that go after boxing, they go to college. One of our kids even made it to West Point this year. So, I mean, we open 4 days a week. We train all members, and then also we train we have a competing team that competes, and we travel and represent the city proudly and nationally. We just got back from Kansas City. Eileen Herrera represented us for the third time in a row, and she did awesome.
Okay, now some of these kids I know are not here, and if they're not here to accept their certificate, then we'll have Abraham present it to them later. For January, the Boxer of the Month is Sonny Rodriguez. Congratulations, Sonny. February, Victor Cruz. Congratulations, Victor. For March, it's George Gonzalez. One of our biggest boxers. Alejandro Bogarin Jr. for April. Is he here? Not here? Okay, he wasn't able to make it. For May is Raul Ramirez. Raul? Nope. June is Ricardo Anthony Meza. Also not here. July, Arturo Frias. The rest are here, okay. August is Reese, oh dear.
I told her apologize. Has what? I told her apologize.
Okay. Okay, Reese. How do you pronounce your last name?
Hansani what?
Of course you do. Congratulations. September, Eileen Herrera. I pity any boy that dates her, right? And for October, it's Jonathan Torres. Congratulations. November is Francisco Juarez. Congratulations. December, Paloma Ponce? Paloma, sorry. And then we have special awards, and I'm going to have these explained because I'm not sure the background, but we'll go ahead and award them, and then I'm going to have him explain it. Sonny Rodriguez got the Sportsman Award for 2019. Sonny. Victor Cruz was the most improved for 2019. And Jonathan Torres got the Boxer of the Year for 2019.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start with sportsmanship. Like I said, these kids work hard every day, for entire year. We are open the entire year. They only rest for 2 weeks. That's for Christmas and New Year's, and they compete. And we have a big group, so we always try to keep them motivated. So we started giving these awards, and it's worked out really well. On Sunny, last year, she entered a state championship. She not only won the title, but she was awarded the best female boxer of the entire tournament. So she represented Chino really well. Victor Cruz, most improved. He's only been training for a little over a year. At that time, he's tremendously, his skills have developed great. His older brother is Daniel Cruz. He represented the city of Chino like 5 years in a row in nationals and won 4. So he has great inspiration of that. And but honestly, he works harder than his brother. Jonathan, for only 6 months of training, he made it to nationals. We made it all the way to the finals. He came short. That motivated him to work harder. Last year, he won his first national title in Ontario, the Sugarbird National Championships. So we're very proud of him, and he's going to make it far.
Well, Abraham, I want to congratulate you on all your hard work with the kids, as well as all the coaches and the parents that support the kids and the board of directors. It's just made a world of difference, I know, in a lot of kids' lives. So thank you all for working so hard, and we look forward to seeing you up here next year as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, thank you. Here, crowd in so she can get a picture. Next, we have another special recognition, and that's the Community Services Department for receiving the SCMAF, SCMAF, Golden Shield Award. I'd like to call up the Community Services Commissioners and all the community staff that's here this evening. Okay, each year, the Southern California Municipal Athletic Federation, or SCMAF, is host to events, tournaments, trainings, and social programs conducted by SCMAF members who go above and beyond their commitment to the Federation and the recreation profession. At the annual SCMAF Awards and installation dinner on November 15th, the City of Chino Community Services Department was honored with the Golden Shield Award for invaluable contributions at the Federation level. The City of Chino has been a consistent active member agency for over 40 years. Chino's hosted many Inland Empire Association and SCMAF tournaments, workshops, and board meetings. Chino staff members also participate on numerous committees and hold SCMAF board positions. Chino's not new to this award, as we have been recognized with the Golden Shield Award in 1982, 1990, and 1995. SCMAF expressed how extremely fortunate they are to have the support and commitment of its member agencies, such as the City of Chino. Without their support, SCMAF would not be able to provide the services that they do. At the dinner, community services staff were individually recognized for their efforts over the past year, and we would like to recognize them tonight. Ryan Marias, RJ Saldana, Stephen Galindo, and Justin Gonzalez for their leadership role in the 50th Annual SCHMAF Institute. So we have the Golden Shield Award to present to all of you this evening. We're very, very proud of you. You exemplify the efforts that the Chino staff does in making our community a better place. Would you like to explain a little bit? You can do it. Come on.
Right? This is where I get tongue-tied when I have to do that. First and foremost, thank you, Mayor and members of our City Council. This is a tremendous honor to be recognized by SMAF for our commitment, not only a specific honor for our Community Service Department, but for our city and our community as a whole, not only the support that the council provides us as a department, as the tools that are needed to not only support SMAF, but also provide the tremendous programs which are recognized yearly throughout in that empire of how strong our programs are. And we can't do that without all of your support. And we look forward to doing this every year. And we're honored to receive this, and to be a multiple time winner is a pretty neat thing. A lot of people can say that. So we're very honored to do that. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, because I know I'm gonna mess it up if I go down, because I'll get nervous.
I'm Ryan Maurice. I'm over at the Neighborhood Activity Center right now.
I'm Bernice Gray. I'm Community Service Commissioner.
My name is Myra Pratt, and I'm a Community Services Supervisor.
My name is Lizette Nunez, Community Service Supervisor.
Bobby Martinez, Community Service Commission.
Analisa Ordóñez, Community Services Coordinator.
June Sano, Clinical Specialist.
Linda Takeuchi, Community Services Commissioner.
RJ Saldana, Community Services Coordinator.
Brenda Strong, Community Service Commissioner.
Stephen Galindo, Community Services Coordinator.
Tammy Dawson, Community Services Coordinator.
Nicholas Gallardo, Community Services Coordinator.
And if I could just say, this is a small portion of the 200 of us. So we're here to represent our entire department for what they do year-round in making our community strong.
Terrific. Now get all together so we can get a good picture of you all. Congratulations again. Next, we have our Business of the Month Award for February 2020. The Chino Business of the Month Award identifies businesses of distinction, whether they are hidden gems or Chino institutions. Through this program, we hope to celebrate their successes and honor their contributions. The February Chino Business of the Month is Cherry Auto Body. I'd like to call up Shirley Combs, owner of Cherry Auto Body. Since 1981, Cherry Auto Body has served the residents of the city of Chino. They treat each customer's vehicle like they would want their own automobile cared for and pride themselves on quality customer service. Cherry Auto Body gives back to the community through supporting children's sports, music, and education programs, as well as collaborating with the Chino Police Department and Chino Valley Fire. Partnering with local business is important to the success of any community, and it's just another way Cherry Auto Body sets itself apart from the competition by using as many local service providers and friends within Chino to provide excellent service. Continued growth of the community and repeat customer business reinforces Cherry Auto Body's confidence that they made the right decision to move to Chino nearly 40 years ago. Join me in congratulating Cherry Auto Body as our February Business of the Month recipients. Chino residents, help us make sure we recognize and applaud other exceptional Chino businesses by submitting your nominations at www.cityofchino.org/biz awards. And Shirley, we have a plaque to present you with for February 2020 Chino Business of the Month.
Very nice.
And thank you very much. They personally has repaired my car, did an excellent job.
Everyone else
is just about.
Just about.
No, your service is absolutely excellent. You're always highly rated. And would you like to say a few words?
Certainly. We're very proud to have been here in Chino for the 39 years that we've been here, and we're very proud to be associated with the Chino Fire Department, the Chino Police Department, and all of the council members and the mayor. We go back a long time. Yeah. Anyway, I was seeing our picture up there. We had a plaque on our wall from the Chino Chamber for beautifying the city with that sign a long time ago. So this will go right up there with the rest of them. I have a whole 2 walls right now of plaques for all the children's sports that we have actually participated in through the years by donating to them. And this is going to go in a place of prominence. And we thank you very much.
Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, but it was surgery. So.
Thank you for coming. Pardon me? Oh, photo. Okay, next we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for February, and the winner of this month is John and Mary Beth McCormick of 13623 Geranium Street. Would you please come up and join me? Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mayor. We have a certificate that reads, "Thank you for the continued improvement and maintenance of your home, resulting in a substantial contribution to the overall appearance of our community." We have a certificate also from Kurt Hagman, recognizing the honor. We have a picture of your home, which is also displayed. We have 2 pen sets, one for each of you. 2 lapel pins.
Wow.
I know. Now, next is the best, okay? This is the coveted yard sign so that you can show all your neighbors that you're the recipient of the February 2020 Home Beautification Award. Now, tell us a little bit about your home, how long you've been there, and who does all the maintenance.
We've been in that home for 33 years, been Chino residents for 37 years.
Wow, very good.
So, yeah. And my wife, she's very good about making sure the sprinklers work. You know, she stays on top of me, stays on top of the gardener. She does a great job.
Very good. Well, it's a beautiful home, a beautiful yard, and thank you very much for your pride.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you for coming this evening. Thank you. Next, we have a very special presentation from our County Assessor Recorder Clerk, Bob Dutton. He's here with us this evening, and he has some information. He's going to provide a video and a 10-minute presentation, although he warned me it may go over a tiny bit. Bob, come on up.
And also to the residents of the city of Chino. Chino's not exactly a foreign city to me. My wife, Andrea Guillen Dutton, was a resident here for a number of years. Her family went back 4 generations, as a matter of fact. That's how I bought my first car when I moved to San Bernardino County. I bought it from M.K. Smith Chevrolet because Cheo, well, of course, Cheo probably sold everybody a car in this city at one time over the years. But I'm very pleased to be here in my capacity now as the Assessor Recorder for San Bernardino County. It's actually to give you some official news and so forth. But I also like to take this opportunity, with your indulgence, to talk a little bit about some other things too. I want to talk a little bit about the history and the role of the Assessor Recorder Clerk of San Bernardino County. I want to give you some assessment data for the city of Chino as well as for the county of San Bernardino. And also, when I was elected, to my surprise, I was also in charge of historical archives for the county. And so we have a little something to show you with regards to what we're doing around the county with regards to making a video history series on the cities and various things in San Bernardino County. I want to try to educate, too, the public as well as anybody else who cares to listen a little bit about the assessors and their role in history. The assessors go back to 6000 BC, to the days of the pharaohs, and that was back when civilization began. And you know, back in those days, we would have to keep records for the pharaoh. It was who owned the land, size of their fields, amounts of livestock. Back in those days, the assessor was also the tax collector, so they used to call them tax assessors. And they were very good at collecting money. As a matter of fact, they used to get paid a percentage of everything they collected. Now, when the pharaoh would die, it was quite common practice for them to bury staff with the pharaoh to take care of him after death. Well, they did that with everybody but the assessor. And the reason why is because the assessor knew too much. They had the records of all the property owners. They knew who owned what, and they also knew how to collect money. And of course, the new pharaoh needed money to run government services, and just like we do today, as a matter of fact. And so anyhow, they usually would let the new assessor, you know, live and so forth. I want to fast forward to 1850. That was the year that California became a state. And California's Constitution, which was originally written by Congress, and by the way, the original state constitution was actually written in both Spanish as well as English. And the reason why is because California was created kind of unique for the states of the United States. You needed 60,000 residents in order to be able to be eligible for statehood. Well, it was important to include the Mexican citizens who actually lived here in California at the time that the territory was acquired, because without them, we wouldn't qualify to become a state. So it was felt by the Congress, because Congress actually wrote our first Constitution. It was decided that it should be both written in Spanish as well as English, because it wouldn't be fair to the people if they're going to be considered to be California citizens. They should at least be able to read the Constitution and understand it if they were going to have to live by those laws. In any case, the Constitution of the state of California was then revised. Our first constitutional convention was held in 1873, and so the Constitution we have today is this one that was as a result of the Constitutional Convention. That Constitution, the state does require the county assessor, no longer tax assessor, just county assessor, the district attorney, sheriff, and local governing body to be elected. Now, that makes me a constitutional office holder. In 1853, the California legislature created the county of San Bernardino from what was formerly Los Angeles County, San Diego, and Mariposa counties. During the early years, the assessor covered the entire county by horseback to determine the assessed value of all properties. In those days, the county assessor was also the superintendent of schools, the registrar of voters, and we kept a list of all persons that were subject to military duties. Off to the right-hand side, the assessor from 1862 was kind of a doodler, and he used to, you know, do little portraits of different things. That happens to be a self-portrait of the assessor from back in those days. Now, today, the assessor of San Bernardino County, I'm responsible for locating and identifying all taxable properties, establishing the assessed value of properties. I have to complete an annual assessment roll by July 1st of every year, and we're required by law to do that. What I don't do is send out tax bills. I don't collect taxes, and I have nothing to do with those little assessment districts you see on those property tax bills. Now, I do have a sample of one. This happens to be from the city of Rancho Cucamonga, and the only item that I really have anything to do with is the top line. Everything else there, all those lighting districts, the Chafee college bond, the high school bond, school bonds, all that stuff are by special districts within the county. The phone numbers listed under contact number is who you need to call. It won't do you any good to call me. I know what they are. It's just that I can't tell you anything about the details on them. Or in the case of a lighting district in the city or something, you need to call Eunice or one of your council members. You know, they can tell you all about it too. Now, here in San Bernardino County, you know, we have the assessor, the recorder, clerk, and archives, and that's what my role is. The county charter was amended back in 2011, and it includes all three of those departments. During 2019, we recorded over 489,000 documents here in San Bernardino County. We serviced over 110,000 customers at the Hall of Records in downtown San Bernardino. That averages about 430 per day. We issued over 84,000 vital records, issued over 15,000 fictitious business name statements, and issued over 8,600 marriage licenses, and we performed 3,000 marriage licenses. We do have chapels at the downtown San Bernardino office, which is the Hall of Records, also Hesperia, and I just opened one up in Joshua Tree. My future plan is to actually try to bring recorder services down even further south. And currently we have Rancho Cucamonga as one of the locations for assessors. I'm currently looking at trying to bring something down to the Chino area as well to service more of this region. With all the development you've got taking place down here with the reserve and also the Ontario Ranch development, you've got over 50,000 homes being built in this region, and there'll be over 150,000 new residents to the county that'll end up residing here. And so I think it's really important for us to actually try to bring more type of services down to this area. This here is an organizational chart from the county. Obviously, it starts with the people of San Bernardino County, and they elect the Board of Supervisors. And then they also elect the district attorney, the sheriff, myself, and also the tax collector. In San Bernardino County's case, even though the tax collector auditor is not required to be elected, our county charter does require them to be an elected position. And below is the chief executive officer for the county, Gary McBride, and then the other department heads in charge of various departments here in San Bernardino County. I want to give you a little assessment data for San Bernardino County and then also for the city of Chino. The roll consisted of over 814,000 parcels. I have an appraisal staff of only 64 to do 814,000 parcels. We had a total value in San Bernardino County of over $234 billion. That was an increase during this last year of 5.8%. The historical trend for San Bernardino County, as you can see, it goes back to 1978 when Prop 13 was first passed. You can see it's a nice incline going up until you get to the 2009. That's when the recession hit San Bernardino County. You can see a slight drop right there. We have fully recovered, and now we are in a growth mode once again in San Bernardino County as a whole. This here gives you an example of what happened in 2018 and 2019 regarding the city of Chino. City of Chino did see substantial growth. 6% unsecured, which is mostly the residential growth. We saw a 14% growth in business development. That's primarily, and just recently, I was there with Mary Yoloa for the groundbreaking for FedEx. That's one of the big things that have hit this area to create a spike in property values. Also, you've got the Chino Spectrum Town Center. You got some business growth happening there as well. And I know there's also, right now, the county did settle, there was some legal issues regarding the Chino Airport, and I know there's also in the works to have some more development take place around there. So I really kind of think things are going to probably pick up, with regards to industrial and commercial growth for this region around here. I also have a 10-year graph that I created for the city of Chino, going back to 2009. That was at the time that we saw a collapse. If you know, the city of Chino was one of those communities that didn't suffer a lot of loss of property value. It kind of went stagnant for a long period of time, but you also are in a growth mode. And now your value is over $14 billion in property value here in the city of Chino. All this information is available on our website. Any resident can go online and get the information with regards to property values and other things that may be of interest to them. Now, historical archives. This was actually the funnest thing that I didn't know I was going to be in charge of it, but it made sense because the recorder's office is responsible for recording all documents going back to the creation of the county. So they are the depository of all documents affecting ownership and licenses and marriages. With the archives, what I decided to do, and I did this when I was on the city council in Rancho Cucamonga, I kind of created an oral history project there to try to keep a record of the historical record of the city of Rancho Cucamonga, why it incorporated, and the people involved, and so forth. So I kind of carried that philosophy to our historical archives department. We've created a Throwback Thursday video series on our social media. We actually got the 2018 NACO Award for that. This gives me a way to highlight local history, as well as, see, there's history here in Chino, right? It gives us to the local history, and also be able to have something that can be seen with the public, and try to help also educate people about the city of Chino, as well as other cities. Now, we do have this video we're going to be playing, right? It's coming up. Okay, here we go. Anyway, we have enjoyed doing this. In our archives on our website, you can now actually get a lot of different videos. We got about 130 right now of different cities. We have one of my favorites is the one about Dorsey, the mail carrying dog. He used to deliver mail between the mining camps. And actually, one of my dogs, Little Cash, we used him as a present day Dorsey and had him actually pick up mail out of the mail bin at the assessor's office and deliver it to me, and we kind of did a reenactment. But that particular one, too, was picked up by Disney in the 1970s, and actually there was a series under the World of Disney, and it was called Young Dog Goes West. But you can find out about the Campbell Brigade that used to operate out the high desert. You can find out about this, and we're trying to make sure that every city, we do a history video on each city. And we've got quite a few hits now. We went viral with one of our tapes. It's the Zizek off-ramp out there on the 15 freeway. We hit over 4 million hits on that one. It actually went viral. I was amazed about it. I kept getting calls, hey, we're at 10,000, 30, up to 1 million. So that kind of put us on the map. We have quite a following now. I look at this as a great way also to help promote the county, and also tell the story for the future generations about how we became to be. But that ends my presentation. I do have Leon Bennett here. She's the supervisor of district for this area, and also Daniel Sanchez, who's really the creator of this video series. And we'll be available out in your patio area if any residents have any questions they want us to follow up on. We'd be more than happy to do that. I know you got a lot of business to take care of, so I don't want to take any more time, but I do appreciate this opportunity to share with you what I consider to be some really great news with regards to how things are growing and developing here in the city of Chino. And I did introduce my wife, right? Andrea Dutton. Okay, I just want, it is, because she's the one that lets me do what I do. So. Yeah.
Good man.
Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you, Bob. That was really entertaining. Very, very interesting. Okay, Mr. Ballantyne, do we have any agenda changes or additions?
I have no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay. Under public announcements, this is the time and the place for me to inform the public about all upcoming events and past occurrences of community-wide interest and concern. First, with the March 3rd presidential primary less than a month away, the San Bernardino County Registrar of Voters has indicated that they are in need of poll workers. This is a great opportunity for our community to assist in this very important process, which will include assisting voters at the polls, ensuring all votes are protected so they can be counted, helping set up and close polling places on Election Day. Additionally, the county will also provide an Election Day stipend ranging from $120 to $235 depending on individual positions. All registered voters are eligible to hold these positions, so if you're interested in helping with the March 3rd primary election, please call 909-387-2004 or visit https://www.sbcountyelections.com/community outreach. Also, please note that City Hall will be closed on Monday, February 17th in observance of President's Day. City Hall will open the following day at its regular operating hours of 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And lastly, at the request of Mayor Pro Tem Howie, we will be adjourning tonight's meeting in the memory of the individuals killed in the helicopter accident on Sunday, January 26th in Calabasas. It goes without saying that the tragic loss of Kobe Bryant was sudden and heartbreaking. It undoubtedly impacted the entire country, but in particular all of us in Southern California. However, as we all know, Mr. Bryant was not only the person on board, not the only person on board. Family members and friends are still grieving the loss of 8 other individuals that included Mr. Bryant's daughter, Gianna, John, Carrie, and Alyssa Adabelli, Christian Mausers, and as well as the pilot, Ara Zabanyan. As we send our prayers to the grieving family members and friends during this incredibly difficult time, we also in particular want to give our utmost sympathy to former Councilmember Gary George and his family. As some of you may know, the final 2 victims in the crash included Mr. George's daughter, Sarah Chester, and his granddaughter, Peyton Chester. The council and I cannot fathom the pain Mr. George's family is experiencing at this time. All we can do as a city is let their family know that the entire Chino community is here for them and are grieving along their side as this tragic event hits a little closer to home. Next on the agenda is public comments. Our invocation request this evening is from Pastor Mike Sprodlin from the Valley Christian Church. All those who wish to join us in the invocation, please stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come tonight. And Lord, I am concerned and came concerned tonight about us as a community and nation, especially this evening as we're hearing from our president in our nation's capital. So many people are frustrated by a host of different things. We're saddened, as the mayor just mentioned, about the loss in the helicopter crash tragically in Calabasas. Lord, so much can frustrate us and make us angry, and oftentimes we want to take it on social media, and it's not hard to see that, Lord. But what would it look like, Lord, if we change that? We have so much to be thankful for. And Lord, as I look at this agenda tonight, I'm just amazed at the things that we have here. We have a youth boxing club that's been functioning for so many years, and these kids are amazing. Lord, we've got a community services department that goes above and beyond to make this one of the best places to raise kids and families in any place in the country. Lord, I think of people getting recognized for their businesses and their homes that make a difference in our community and show people just the pride that they have in being here. Lord, I thank you, Lord, for our assessor, Mr. Dutton, and for his emphasis on doing the things that we can't, keeping track of all the records that we don't do, but also bringing us this history. Lord, we have such a rich and diverse community, and we're so grateful, Lord. And so I thank you. Our people make us really a great city, Lord, and so tonight I changed my prayer. I changed it into one of gratitude. And so, Lord, what if we put that investment, rather than talking about things on the internet that frustrate us, what if we put that investment into talking about the things that really matter? Like these people around us, the people that are sitting next to us tonight. So Lord, thank you for the difference that you allow us to make in our community. So I just pray that in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And if I may just add one more thing.
Sure.
Mayor Ulloa, you have the opportunity to help put together the Chino Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast coming up on the 19th of February. It's a Wednesday at Los Serranos, and I would encourage anyone to, if they'd like to come, register at cvmayorsbreakfast.com at Los Serranos Country Club, 7 a.m. to 9, and we'd love to see you there.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for being here this evening. Okay, next, under public communication, we have Melissa Campani from Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor Ulloa, Tom Howie, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff, and community members. My name is Melissa Campani, and I am here tonight to announce a couple of events that the supervisor has put together for residents. And we are hoping that people would like to join us, and so I have some flyers here. The first one is going to be taking place on February the 10th, which is a community informational meeting for unincorporated area residents. This is going to be a unique opportunity for those residents living within the unincorporated area of Chino to meet with county departments, including planning, code enforcement, public works, sheriff department, and California Highway Patrol. This has been very popular. We haven't been taking reservations very long and already have decided we needed a larger room. So we are, in fact, changing the location. So I wanted to share that in case anyone's listening who's already responded on Eventbrite. So we will be sending emails to those people. And to let you know that the meeting will be February 10th, 6 to 7:30, now taking place at the Chino Police Department Community Building. And the address is 5450 Walnut Avenue in the city of Chino. And the next event will be taking place, this is by popular demand also, I understand, on Saturday, February the 29th. You won't forget that date. And in honor of National Consumer Protection Week, we will be having a document shredding event. And these events have turned out to be very popular. So we are asking that you limit your shredding materials to 5 standard size filing boxes per vehicle. And this will be taking place in our neighboring city of Montclair from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And this will be taking, also need to let you know that the trucks do reach capacity at times. So please come early if you plan on coming with your shredding materials. And that will be at the Montclair City Hall, 5111 Benito Street in the city of Montclair. I think I've got all the information there. Okay, hope to see you there.
Thank you, Melissa. Next request to speak is Mr. Ed Hernandez. Subject is Chino Business.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. I have a real quick question for the council. I noticed several elderly folks in the back of the council chambers, and they're truly gems of our community. And I want to know, as my father's been a 20-year resident of this community. He's a retired aircraft worker, Boeing for 47 years. He's a veteran of the United States Air Force. And I want to know how the city, how the council protects our elderly from predatory practices by unscrupulous businesses here in the city. How do we protect them?
Well, if anything is reported to us, obviously it's turned over to the police department. But we don't have a citywide business police force that watches these things.
Thank you. Generally, predatory practices, when businesses engage in these predatory practices, it's generally a civil matter. So how do we prevent businesses from taking advantage of these elderly gems in our community? How would we do that?
Well, Mr. Hernandez, I think we have a moral issue when it comes to our society nowadays.
Well, let me share this with you. As I mentioned to you, my father is elderly, and he had a minor rodent problem. My brother told me. So I consulted Yelp, and I looked for a Chino company that does business in Chino, keep it all in-house, and I found a business, Erie Termite and Pest Services, located at 5120 Schaefer Avenue, Unit D. And based on the positive reviews, I sent this company over to my father's house. And a gentleman by the name of James Carter showed up to my father's residence. And he did the once-over on January 9th of this month. And he sold my father a 3-month rodent service for $899 for 3 months of service, which included 2 exterior rodent traps, about the size of shoe boxes, about 4 rat traps, not mouse traps, rat traps. Now, my father's elderly and he walks around barefooted, so for him to step on this thing would probably break his toes. I have a friend that's an estate manager in Beverly Hills on a half-acre property, 8-bedroom mansion, security gates. And I asked him, how much do you spend for pest control? And generally, I mean, I'm in Beverly Hills a lot. Everything's generally more expensive in Beverly Hills. And when he told me, I got very upset. He pays $115 for 3 months of pest service. So for this Erie Termite and Pest Services company to charge my father $900 for this service is egregious to the citizens of this community. How can I trust that company to go back to my father's house and enter his residence after what they did to him? Now, I sent a demand letter to this company.
I do have to tell you, Mr. Hernandez, we do have time limits, and you're almost up.
Coming to the end.
Okay.
Sent a demand letter, and ironically, they've been as quiet as a church mouse. No attempts at customer service. This company's apparently been in business serving the public for 30 years. So if that's the case, how many others are being taken advantage of by this company? And you know what I got from this company? A text message. Your father signed a contract. So it's not a police matter. This is basically a civil matter.
Yeah, it is.
So I want to know how you can help my father.
Sir, it's like you mentioned, it is a civil matter, and I would suggest probably reporting them to the Business Bureau and also filing something on Yelp.
Thank you.
That's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible story. There are very wicked people out there. Next written request to speak under public comment is Stubby Barr.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I wanted to address a couple of items tonight. The first one is because we are entering budget season, I wanted to remind you, I know we have in the past, that there are administrative requirements under the Americans with Disabilities Act, 5 basic requirements, 3 of which we have now met. We have an accessibility coordinator, very good one. We have a policy in place, and it's well distributed, and we have a grievance procedure. So what we need to do is start budgeting for the big items, and the biggest item of all is the self-evaluation. This is a process that we have to go through and apply some 35 sections of the regulations to each and every program, service, and facility that the city has. It's a huge undertaking. It cannot be piecemealed. We have approached it in kind of a piecemeal fashion. It's something that needs to be budgeted. It needs to be researched. It's very difficult to tell you what it's going to cost until we do talk to some consultants. But it's time. It was a requirement that we were supposed to have completed in 1993. So we're about 27 years behind times, which makes the undertaking even greater because we've had a phenomenal amount of growth in the last 27 years. So please keep that in mind as the budget comes around, and hopefully we can start this process and get it rolling. It's going to take several years. And then we have one final piece after the self-evaluation. Then we have to provide a transition plan with all of the items that were not addressed and remediated during the evaluation period. So please keep that in mind. And then second, I just want to thank everyone that was associated with the Run for Russ. Now, the police department organizes this, but this is a community event, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for the great weather, because I know you did that.
Oh, right.
So, but it was, without a doubt, the most heartwarming event that I've been to in this city in a long time. You have all of the community people together, our community services, public works, the police department, even that fire department company that we have.
What do you mean that
fire department? It just clicked. It was absolutely great. I want to thank everybody.
It was good. Thank you,
It was.
Steve.
Thank you.
It was fun. And you did very well this year.
Well, it's because they have me in the wrong age group.
But don't tell anybody. Okay, we have a tradition here, and that is when we have students in the audience that are attending because of a requirement of their school, they're required to come up and give us your name of your school, name of your teacher, and the class that you're taking. So now is your opportunity to be on TV to prove that you're fulfilling your class requirement. So come on up.
Who wants to be first?
Don't all rush up to be first now. Okay, come to the lectern right there. Yep. There you go. Okay.
I'm Melissa Cortez. I'm a senior at Don Lugo High School. My teacher is Mr. Kim for my senior year government class.
Thank you very much.
I am Jocelyn Avendano. I'm also from Don Lugo High School with the same teacher, Mr. Kim.
And the subject?
Oh, yeah, government.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mariah Molina, and I'm also a senior at Don Lugo High School, and my teacher is also Mr. Kim for government.
Thank you very much.
I'm Melanie Martinez. I'm a senior at Don Lugo High School, and I'm taking Mr. Kim's government class.
Thank you.
I'm Valerie Rojo, a senior at Don Lugo High School, and taking Mr. Kim's government class.
Thank you.
I'm Nevaeh Lujan. I'm a senior at Don Lugo, and I'm taking government for Ms. Carpentier.
Oh, another teacher.
I'm Elijah Manzano. I'm a senior at Don Lugo High School, and I'm taking government in Ms. Carpentier's class.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Corey Burdett. I am a senior at Don Lugo High School, and I am in Ms. Carpentier's government class.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Villalpando. I'm a senior at Don Lugo High School, and I'm also in Ms. Carpentier's government class.
Hello, my name is Jaden Contreras, and I go to Don Lugo High School, and I'm a senior, and my teacher is Ms. Carpentier.
Hi, my name is Salvador Roscoe. I go to Don Lugo. I'm a senior, and I have Ms. Carpentier.
For your class?
Government.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Anguiano. I go to Don Lugo High School. I'm a senior. My teacher is Ms. Carpentier for U.S. Government.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay, we have no more written requests to speak. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the consent calendar. We are pulling item number 4 and 9 for public comment. Is there a motion for the balance of the consent calendar? Yes.
Just number 5.
5 also? Okay. So we have 4, 5, and 9. Okay, I'll need a motion for the balance of the consent calendar, please. Okay, there's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio. Balance of the consent calendar passes unanimously. Item number 4 is a settlement agreement. Approval of a settlement agreement to resolve 4 outstanding lawsuits filed by FH2 LLC, doing business as Frontier Communities, against the City of Chino. Can we have a brief staff report, please?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council and audience. Before the council is a global settlement agreement, and as the mayor mentioned, of 4 outstanding lawsuits filed by Frontier against the City of Chino. The lawsuits don't admit any wrongdoing, and we disagree that the city has acted in any wrongful manner, but as these things are, and following some closed session discussions, as an avoidance of further expenses and elimination of any risk, this globally settles all of the matters. One of the steps that needs to occur as part of the settlement agreement is there is an attached letter agreement that addresses a punch list of items that need to be addressed at the Cedar Point development. There will be no payment to Frontier until all of those items are addressed, and this council approves and accepts those final public improvements. So there'll be another public process before the council to finally approve those improvements and accept them. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We have 2 requests to speak on this item, the first being Mr. Brian Vanderhoof.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Brian Vanderhoof. I represent FH2. And I just want to say it's been a long, hard road to get where we are to this point. It was difficult, and it took a lot of hard work from a lot of the folks involved, including those from Mr. Galante's office. Since we've reached this agreement, we have completed the project at Cypress Villas. No more work is needed to be done out there at this point. Frontier, after a rainy November and December, has mobilized its construction crews out at the Cedar Point, excuse me, at the Cedar Point project. We are working with city inspectors now to finalize some items and work through the last remaining issues. It seems as though we may still be in the tunnel, but at this point, the light at the end of it is brighter than it's been, at least since I've been involved in this case, and that's getting on close to a year at this point in time. With that, Frontier Communities looks forward to wrapping up that project and turning over a completed project to the citizens of Chino once and for all. Thank you.
We are looking forward to having this finally done.
Thank you.
Next request to speak is Mistress Debbie Barr.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So I'd like to bring your attention to packet page 15, which is the staff report, the very last paragraph, which is, I believe, one sentence. This global agreement represents the strongest and best vehicle for resolving the active lawsuits and the claim, while ensuring compliance by FH2 with respect to construction of acceptable accessibility improvements at Cedar Point. Cypress Villas is complete. I do not agree with that statement in any way. I am not going to, I don't have time to argue the legal points, and apparently you have addressed those. However, I do have a short set of graphics. I'm going to apologize, they're very crude. I didn't get back till 4:30 this afternoon. To show you that this settlement agreement will not solve the accessibility problems. You have already accepted the liability in accepting the streets at Cypress Village. You've already accepted the liability for those. Those are not complete. Even the work that we, the city, did does not comply. So if you take a look at this, Angela, this is an aerial shot of Cedar Point. This doesn't include the areas there are 5 areas on 10th Street, the extension going up to the PD that have violations. In this area, slide please, there are these yellow lines represent 27 crosswalks. Now, those crosswalks are not something that we design and build. Those crosswalks are automatically created by the sidewalk elements. The city of Chino requires sidewalks on both sides of every street. So does the state of California. California requires that cities provide safe and convenient pedestrian passage across each street and on each street. Across being the crosswalks and on being the sidewalks. These 27 crosswalks exist without anybody planning where they are. They aren't decisions that are made by planning, and they aren't decisions that are made by the developer or the project engineer. Slide, please. Those green dots represent 13 diagonal ramps that were installed by Frontier at the site. Slide. The orange dots represent an additional 4 directional ramps, 3 of which are actually fully compliant. That's a total of 17 ramps. Slide. Those red dots represent 23 curb ramps that are not there. They are missing. They are not addressed in this settlement agreement, and they are required by law. The law being not where the sidewalk is, or where the crosswalk is required, but the fact that anything that is constructed or anything that is altered is required to be accessible. These are actually addressed in the ADA regulations. Specifically addresses curb ramps must be installed whenever a street is altered or created new. So if you approve this, this is not over. We have the similar situation at Cypress Villas. The slide, please. The X's represent the current condition as of today or as of yesterday of improvements that Frontier has done that will not pass inspection. And this was obvious to me without getting out of my vehicle. Slide, please. In addition to the curb ramps that are missing, crosswalks are also an accessible feature. These 8 crosswalks in yellow here have never been evaluated. They cannot be evaluated because the streets have not been completed. The final layer of asphalt has not yet been installed. Slide, please. And the 10 additional that are marked in red here have never been evaluated because of all the missing curb ramps. It's impossible to evaluate a crosswalk because the installation of the crosswalk changes the contour of the road surface, so you have to wait till the curb ramp is installed before the crosswalk can be evaluated. So if you approve this agreement, you will be spending $500,000, which I don't agree with, and the city will now have the liability, the taxpayers will have the liability to correct all these deficiencies, which will be corrected. I will make sure they are corrected here and at Cypress Villas. The council as a whole has many times in the past, and 2 of you have stated that taxpayers will never be responsible for the costs of development. And that is exactly what's going to happen in this case. I think the trial date that is in your staff report is wrong. It's actually, I think, June 22nd. I think since we've already expended 3 years on this project, that it might be wise to at least go through the bifurcation hearing that's upcoming in May before you make a decision on this. The advice that has been given council on accessibility laws is obviously insufficient. Thank you.
Mr. Galante?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And council members, this, and I don't think this should be a back and forth discussion. Frankly, I understand Mr. Barr's comments. I respect them. This tentative track map was approved back in 2014. What this city council has done since then has been advance tremendously in the field of understanding and addressing accessibility issues. You've hired an ADA coordinator that is very skilled at this and has helped create the standards that the council recently approved. Back before that existed, these conditions were fairly standard. Ideally, you want to have, for example, in the diagram that Mr. Barr showed, ideally you want to have directional ramps. We understand that. That's your new standard. This has diagonal ramps, which, although not ideal, are compliant. On the corners, what is sometimes considered the knuckles, again, you've now improved those standards. Back in 2014, these were the standards that had been approved administratively through staff and reviews of plans. Again, you've improved that standard. This is a settlement agreement. By definition, a settlement agreement is not something you're jumping for joy, excited to do. It's a compromise of issues. So this represents a global compromise. It incorporates a very detailed punch list that your staff had put together to address the various issues at Cedar Point. There are still outstanding issues that, as the attorney for the plaintiff, Mr. Vanderhoof, explained. They're progressing with that. You're not making any payment until those conditions are addressed. Are they the gold standard of accessibility? I would say it's not your current standard, but it's reflective of what was approved back in 2014, and we're pushing, and we will force Frontier to address it in that manner, to comply with that punch list. So by definition, it is a compromise, but we think it is compliant.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Galante or comments? Okay, thank you, Fred. Thank you, Stubby.
Thank you.
Okay, council's desire on item number 4. It's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie. And there is a second from Councilman Rodriguez. Please vote. Item passes unanimously. Okay, item number 5, Mr. Hargrove wished to have pulled. Would you like a staff report?
No,
This item is the police department hiring incentives update.
I just have a question. I wish I would have sent it off earlier, but it just kind of dawned on me reading it over tonight. I know I agree with everything that's in there. Only thing I just kind of wanted to clarify was that our standard now, or what we're offering now, is the 120 hours of police officer pay, as opposed to now the consideration would be 5,000 upon hire and 5,000 after probation. So what did that 120 hours equate to? I know there's a high and a low.
$5,000 to $6,000.
Okay.
So it's an additional $4,000
Okay.
Altogether.
Great answer. You deserve a bonus for that. So.
Thank you.
Hopefully that is. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions on item number 5? Then I would entertain a motion. Motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Councilman Lucio. My screen's really slow. The item passes unanimously. Item number 9, is professional engineering and design services agreement. Brief staff report, please, from Mr. Jucker.
Mayor and council members, this project consists of paving and concrete work along 16th, 17th, 18th, and Serene and Tangerine Streets. Staff solicited and received 9 proposals in November of last year for design services. 3 firms were shortlisted, and NV5 Incorporated of Irvine, California has demonstrated that they are the best suited consultant for this project. I do have a slight correction on the recommendation section. There are 3 recommendations: approved professional services agreement with NV5 of Irvine for engineering and design services for the local street overlay fiscal year 1920 project MS-181 in an amount of $98,500. The second, approve a 10% contingency for unexpected project changes, bringing the total potential agreement amount to $108,350. And then the 3 was an error, a typo, so we're not recommending that. And the 3 there after that is authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so strike the approve acquisition of the rights on 6210 Chino Avenue. Okay. Written request to speak for item number 9 is Mr. Stubby Barr.
Thank you again. I have a question then based on that strike. Do we already have the right-of-way at the welding shop for Tangerine Avenue?
We do not have the right-of-way for that location. The right-of-way will be acquired after the design is done and environmental work is completed.
Okay. So I have no objection to this. This needs to be done. If you've been out on north of the Tronquil project, those people, the streets look like a war zone. However, the project that created that mess or added to it was the Tronquil storm drain and water line replacement project from about 5 years ago. And you'll probably remember this. That project has never been completed. The curb ramps that are addressed here that say they need to be evaluated, the city has about 8 reports from me on those conditions, as well as a huge stack of emails that went back and forth during that project. They do not meet current requirements. I want to make sure that this project addresses all of the missing curb ramps. There are 10 missing curb ramps, similar to the graphic I showed you for Cedar Point at this location, and that the area, the construction area, the design area be expanded to include the entire length of Tronquil, which is only a quarter block in each direction from what's designated. The reason being that we only have, out of I think 12 curb ramps there, we only have 1 that is fully compliant. And staff should be aware of this. If they don't have the documentation, I can resend it. The second concern I have is we are undertaking part of this same project, the street overlay project. Right now we are doing Magnolia Gardens area and, was it Chaparral Trails, Tom? Yeah, Chaparral Trails. And we are already experiencing some issues in the field. And the problem is stemming from the design. The design is lacking in the fact that we have not yet established standards based upon the policy which you approved in December. Our standards are still very lacking. We only have 1 curb ramp standard, and it isn't even legal as of January 1st. So I think this project would be well to be postponed until such time as the city has design direction, at least horizontal control direction, so that we can give the design parameters to the engineer. Because as it stands right now, you give this to 5 different engineers, you're going to end up with 5 completely different solutions. The solutions that we're using now and the solutions we used on the upcoming Edison project are not optimum for the city. They're very expensive to construct, they're expensive to design, and they do not result in the aesthetic quality, the curb appeal that we should be giving the city of Chino. I think it can be done a lot cheaper and a lot better if we develop the standards ahead of time so that the engineer has a blueprint to follow. And lastly, I am not sure that under FHA decisions that you can consider Tangerine Avenue widening as a street overlay project. A street widening project is considered by the Federal Highway Administration to be an alteration of the entire street. So we might want to separate that. It doesn't matter how it's designed, but you might want to separate that project into a separate CIP project. Thank you.
Okay. Would it be wise to pull this project and bring it back?
Mayor and council members, we are addressing all the design issues that arise during the design process. We can have standard, but it's difficult to adopt standards to existing conditions. For example, in this case, we have 18th Street that has driveways that are substandard, but we don't have the right-of-way, and there's a lot of construction of gates and fences along the street. So we'll have to design something that will be non-standard. We cannot move the sidewalk over by 5 feet, for example. We will have to reconstruct driveways if we did that, and we have to reconstruct a lot of fences. So none of the standard drawings will apply on some of these streets. So it will not help us if we waited for the standards to come up. On the issue with Tangerine, why is it an overlay project? It's because the issue there is drainage. We have a drainage issue that can only be resolved by widening the street and adding additional paving. So that's why it's part of this paving project. Making it a separate project will make it more expensive if we made it a separate project and just went out to bid on that portion alone. But it is resolving a drainage issue that's existing there for a very long time. So I don't see any benefit of delaying this project. The other thing is if we delay the project, the cost of construction keeps going up. So there will not be any savings at the end if we delayed it. So my recommendation is to just go ahead and at least start the design and get this thing done.
What about the comments about what we're designing is not appropriate?
We have very little area in certain areas when we're designing projects. There is only certain way of doing the design. There may be 5 different ways of doing the design. If those 5 different ways are right, then it doesn't really matter which way we go. We are picking the most economical design that we can do. But there are times that we're limited by the available space, the existing improvements that are out there, the driveways, the fences, the condition of the sidewalk that's there now. So we're designing the best we can. We've designed, on the project that was mentioned, we've designed 60 ramps, and they're all compliant, and we're building them, and they are coming out all compliant. So we are meeting the standards. Is there another better way of doing it? Perhaps, but I don't think it'll cost any less.
Okay, any other comments or questions of staff?
I just have one question.
Tom?
My mic on here, so can I ask you, approximately, we're adding 60 ramps that weren't there before on that particular project. What's the average cost of a ramp? I mean, can you break it into just an average?
Some of the ramps were there before. We're just adding directional ramps, and some of them were non-compliant. It's difficult to do an average cost of a ramp because some ramps require removal of the driveway. I can give you a total cost. I don't have that with me right now, but I can come up with the total cost of the ramps because there is a lot of added work beside the ramp that goes into the concrete work. Right. But they are substantially expensive. Directional ramps are more expensive than doing a diagonal ramp.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
I do have a comment.
Hargrove.
So I think this has been mentioned before by council member, but is there a reason that when we have these rankings in the 3 that we don't give the bid for each one of those and we only mention the top bid?
State law prohibits us picking the lowest bid. We're supposed to pick the consultant that's the most appropriate for the job. And then, so there's a criteria. Now, the price is one of the criteria that we can use, and that was used in this case.
Yeah, in my question is related to, are we not authorized or are we allowed to give each price that each person submitted in that bid?
We
are provide that information?
We are allowed to provide that information.
Yeah, I think it's been mentioned before that we're not seeing all the bids that come in, so I can make a comparison of, it's for my own edification in terms of like somebody, I've seen some be $200,000 over the next bidder, and which makes perfect sense. Another criteria why we're picking that person other than that. But I would just like to see all the bids and the pricing that was come in, but it's not an absolute if it's prohibited in some way.
We can definitely.
In the past, we talked about just providing a range of what the lowest and the highest bid,
Yeah.
so you can kind of gauge where they are.
Yeah.
So we can do that.
Okay. That's
Okay, so this is a recommendation from staff to approve a professional services agreement. Also noting that the first item number 3 is to be striked. It was accidentally included in there, so it's the original item number 1, original item number 2, and then the second item number 3. Is there a motion for this item? Okay, there's a motion from Mr. Hargrove and second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie. The item passes unanimously. Okay. Next on the agenda is under new business, item number 11, award of contract project SW200, sewer reline at various locations. This is to award a contract to Sancon Technologies Incorporated, Huntington Beach, in the amount of $281,841.60 for sewer realignment. Our staff report this evening will be provided by Maria Frazier, our CIP manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. Public Works staff reviews televised service inspections as part of our 5-year capital improvement program and identified 28 segments of existing sewer lines that require rehabilitation work. Based on the severity of the pipe and the budget allocated for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, 12 locations were selected. The specific locations are outlined in the staff report. Specifications were prepared for this project, and a notice of inviting bids was published locally and regionally. And on January 1st, 2020, 5 bids were received and open. Sancon Technologies, Inc., from Huntington Beach, California, was deemed the lowest responsible and responsive bidder with a total bid amount of $281,841.60. Staff is therefore recommending the council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Questions of staff this evening? Comments? Okay, then I would entertain a motion, please. Motion from Councilman Lucio, second from Councilman Hargrove. Item passes unanimously. Item number 12, amendment number 3, cooperative agreement, interchange improvements at Central Avenue and State Route 60. This is to approve amendment number 3 between the City of Chino and the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority to update project costs for design and construction and an increase to the Measure I project. Staff report will be provided once again by Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience again. The Central Avenue overpass at SR 60 is of importance because it will reduce traffic congestion. The planned improvements include widening the existing eastbound, westbound ramps, and the existing Central Avenue Bridge overcrossing and enhance hardscape and landscape areas. The San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, SBCTA, is the lead agency for all the aspects of this project. In 2013, the city and SBCTA entered into a memorandum of understanding for this project. In 2014, the City Council approved a co-op agreement to identify specific roles and responsibilities between SBCTA and the city. And on October 17, 2017, the co-op agreement was amended to clarify the roles and responsibilities of each agency with respect to right-of-way acquisition. A second amendment to the agreement was approved by Council on December 5, 2018, based on the updated construction costs, which is a routine action throughout the course of project delivery. The cost increases were due to unanticipated conditions that resulted in changes to the scope. Since then, the plans, estimates, and specifications have been finalized, and the estimated cost updated based on recent construction costs obtained from projects in the area, such as the 3 bridges and the SR 60 rehabilitation project. Consequently, the total projected construction cost has escalated by a total of $1,943,624. The city proportional share of the estimated cost increase is approximately $1,184,051. The updated total project cost estimate is now $33,649,197. The city's share is further offset by the County of San Bernardino and the City of Montclair cost share, which is based on a reimbursement agreement approved by City Council on December 15 of 2015. Staff has notified both agencies of the increases and is preparing amendments to both agreements, which will be presented to Council for approval at a later date. This project is expected to be advertised for construction around May, awarded in July, and with construction starting around September of this year, and is expected to last 18 months. Staff is therefore recommending that City Council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. The cost increases on this project is rather shocking, and I sure hope this is the final modification to it and we get this project underway. We've gone from $20 million to $33 million. Ridiculous. Mr. Howie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's get this. Is this the last of the? This is number 3. Hopefully, this is the last one, and we can get it built before there's another $1 million or $2 million to spend in increased costs.
Ridiculous.
So, good job.
Any other comments or questions, Mr. Lucio?
When is it also to be completed?
18 months. It depends. It's be on the next fiscal year. It depends. It's been delayed a few months. Originally was supposed to start construction in August, early this year, and now it's kind of moved more towards the fall. So it'll be 18 months.
Yeah, 2022.
2022.
Okay.
thank you, I guess. We'll see what they do next. Okay, I'd entertain a motion. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Rodriguez. Item passes unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is mayor and council reports. On mine, in January, on Wednesday, the 22nd, I attended the Santa Ana Watershed Ambassador Program, Part 2. We hosted the program at the Chino PD Community Room, and the discussion was collaborative planning in face of uncertainty. I also attended the FedEx groundbreaking ceremony, which was held at the corner of Flight and Merrill, very well attended. On Thursday, the 23rd, I attended the Water Master Board of Directors meeting. Friday, the 24th, attended the Southern California Water Coalition Board of Directors meeting, followed by their quarterly meeting. Speakers were Ed Manning, partner KP Public Affairs, and Jay Ziegler, Director of External Affairs and Policy of the Nature Conservancy, California. They had some very interesting discussions regarding the challenges of water reality. Reality is there is never a normal water year ever, and there's still a mentality of all the water belonging to the Northern Californians, and that we, the Southern Californians, are stealing their water. There's no easy or quick answers to resolve the water issues in California, and party polarization is actually making it much worse. There are very critical decisions that need to be made now, especially with conveyance of the excess water that is just going to the ocean, bringing it down to Southern California. If they have a massive earthquake up there and those levees break, our water supply will be desperately affected and we will be cut off from fresh water. So, other issues dealt with the emerging contaminants like TCP 123 and PFAS, which is now being referred to as the forever chemical. There's not a minimum safe contaminant level determined for PFAS or a realistic methodology for even testing for the contaminant, and yet the legislation is running as fast as they can to show that they are doing something, even if it makes no common sense or economic sense. It's just, there's crazy times ahead of us when it comes to water, and it's costing us millions of dollars. Tuesday the 28th, I met with Mr. Nasser Noor, who's the new president of the Los Angeles chapter of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And I'm Imam Arshad Malhi from the Chino Mosque about their upcoming 100-year anniversary, which is going to be held next month. They'll be coordinating some activities with our community services staff. On Thursday the 30th, I met with Councilwoman Cynthia Moran and Chick-fil-A manager David Dinison regarding planning another leadership conference with Speaker Mark Miller again later this year. The one that we hosted last year was extremely successful, and we've had a lot of inquiries if we're going to bring him back and have a second, so we're working on that. Friday the 31st, I attended the Assembly Select Committee on Regional Transportation Solutions hearing that was held in the City of Ontario Council chambers. The majority of the hearing consisted of reports from various organizations that were promoting increased housing density around major transportation corridors, with discussion on providing free public transportation in order to increase bus ridership. I always find these discussions very interesting because along with the discussions, there are absolutely no ideas on how to fund these things. No funding ideas at all, just provide free services. So I don't know what was taken away by the committee on that. February, Saturday 1st, of course, we had the Run for Russ, which, as Stubby mentioned, turned out very, very nice. Very friendly event. A lot of people stay around and talk. And, of course, Kiwanis provides pancakes and sausage and orange juice for everyone. Then Monday the 3rd, this last Monday, yesterday, I met with City Manager Ballantyne and two of our attorneys regarding our effort to recoup some of the $1 million we've had to spend in order to clean up TCP 123 in our water supply. Now, this chemical was an undisclosed ingredient that was used as a fumigant many years ago to eradicate nematodes in the soil, which causes crop damage. So the farmers used the chemical. It was very, very effective. They did not know that it contained TCP 123. that was undisclosed from the companies that manufactured it. So we're attempting to get some of our costs returned to us because it is, like I said, we've already spent over $1 million just treating this chemical. And that ends my report for this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Howie.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I was thinking back when I was a kid, we got playing in the yard. We'd get thirsty, we'd grab the garden hose, brush the mud off it, and then drink out of the garden hose and think nothing of it. Nowadays, it's just getting a little out of control, I think. Unbelievable with the water situation.
Yeah.
So let's see, on the 22nd, I did attend the FedEx groundbreaking, and that's going to be quite a facility down near the preserve and the airport. They're going to have about, I think they said about 400 employees pretty quick. And so they'll be spending money and buying stuff in our city, which is always a good thing for the city from an economic standpoint. So looking forward to that. On the 16th, I attended the Water Facilities Authority board meeting. I got to run that meeting. I'm the chair of that board for the next year. So that was a lot of fun. And then last Friday, on the 31st, I attended at Cross Point Church here in Chino a memorial service for John Hogsma, who was the owner of B&G Hay, who delivered hay for years and years to Chino. The business is still there, and it was attended by about 500 people. It was a big service, and John was he was a character. He'd come from the Cerritos, Bellflower area. It was quite a fast-pitch softball pitcher. Played for the Knights and did a lot of. He was quite an athlete in his time, and he was a character. I got to golf with him many times. Just a super guy, and it was great to see a lot of the dairy community all came from everywhere to honor John, and it was a nice event. And then of course there was the Russ Miller run on Saturday. The weather was much better than the previous year when it rained, and it's always very cool, and it's a good 5K to run in because you don't get too hot. And it was great to see everybody out there. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Hargrove.
All right, January 22nd, I also attended the FedEx groundbreaking ceremony. What I found interesting was they were going to town to build that thing. I think they said something like August to be the building will be up. And
I think the construction manager said she has to have the first building completed October 1st.
October 1st.
Totally complete.
Well,
that's aggressive.
Good luck to her.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
Yeah. I think you had mentioned that she's from back east or something. And
yeah, she and her husband are being
here.
Relocated out here for. I can't imagine traveling back and forth and managing.
I did mention it was a sad sight though to go out there and see that land just kind of disappearing. And but we move on. But February 1st, I attended the Russ Miller in spirit mostly. I had the flu or the cold or whatever the heck is going around with everybody, and I decided that I didn't want to get out in public and start sneezing and coughing and shaking hands with her. Yeah. So, but I did drive by and kind of hung out in my truck for a minute and watched the activity. And then luckily we have great social media stuff from the PD and city and all of that, and you get to see all the runners and fantastic event. And then January 3rd, I attended, which was, yesterday? The Chino Planning Commission as a liaison there. Notables there were the commission approved a recommendation for the council to approve a citywide trucking route modifications. Primarily, I guess that stems from the Merrill Avenue to eliminate that as a, not Merrill Avenue, Kimball as a trucking route. And but they had a few other modifications that were in there that made sense. Something like reducing only 1.9 out of like over 50 miles of trucking routes. So it's not that significant. I do want to point out and note that I met the officer that runs a commercial truck. Can't recall his name offhand. Andrew Bernath. Terrific guy. He took me out, showed him his truck, and was proud of it, and told me all that he knows about commercial trucking, and it was amazing. And then I live right off a mountain, so I travel up South and North Mountain all the time, and nearly every day I see him pull somebody over, and whatever he's doing a good job. I don't see very many trucks, at least on that route, and I know he's reaching out to other individuals that are constantly advising us that trucks are violating those routes and stuff over Schaefer and those kind of things. So thank you to him and others. I've seen others, some of police pulling them over. That's good. And then also another zoning change that was approved to come before the council was in regard to the ADUs and the junior ADUs and the density bonuses that have been state law now. And I think as of January 1st, we needed to update that stuff. It's you really should pay attention to the stuff. I think a lot of it is what people really do not want to see. Whether it's necessary or not, I think that's hugely debatable. And what I hate most about it is they just tell local communities from the state level of exactly what you're going to do, and that's never been, in my opinion, pushed upon us like that. I think that individuals select where they want to live based on those communities and how they build, and I know there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it's not something I desire to see, at least in the city of Chino, people building these ADU units, unless they're, there's land that's out there, you're on an acre or two, or maybe even a half an acre where you can build what I usually knew as a granny flat or those things. But when you can get in there and start building on a small little lot, and as long as you meet the setback requirements and stuff something in there, and then you don't have any parking modifications, you can't increase the parking, so that's going to be affected, and we already are affected by that greatly. So anyways, that's going to be coming before us to look at in the near future too. So, and then lastly, I just want to mention that being the past president of Chino High School Sports Boosters, glad I'm not involved in that as much as I used to be, for sure. It's just draining, so I give those kudos to those that are doing it. But they're going to hold their first ever golf tournament Saturday, April 25th at Los Serranos. It's their first inaugural event, and of course, it's just to raise money for sports. The school district is always struggling to provide sports equipment, uniforms, and all those things, so they look to other sports boosters to make up those cost differences. So it seems like it's going to be a terrific event. If you want to know anything about it, you can go to www.thecowboyclassic.com. They have sponsorship availability, foursomes. I'm not a golfer. I don't know. They're trying to shove me into this thing, and I'm just afraid that my pocketbook is screaming from what I've heard, if you become a golfer. And then usually it lasts about a year or two, and all that stuff gets shoved in the garage. And unless you're Tom, maybe you just. So we'll look forward to seeing you out there, Tom, at the Cowboy Classic. So.
You'll be a sponsor.
So thank you. That's all.
You're welcome. Councilman Lucio.
Yes, on the 22nd of January, Councilman Hargrove and myself met with the residents of Anderson Street. They had some concerns about some speeding that was occurring on their street. And I just want to thank Chino Police Department, the chief, and the city manager, Ballantyne, for responding out there, putting something that we can monitor whether or not the speeding is occurring and how long. I know that it was only for a limited time, so I know Mark relayed that we'd like to see it for a full week, because it appears that their concerns are happening Monday through Friday as a result of the I think it's the Amazon trucks driving in and out of their street and trying to get to the commercial gas station. So thank you for being out there and responding. I also want to thank Matt for making sure that we had a problem with some sewage that was occurring there. They went out there, they addressed the issue, and the residents appear to be very, very happy as a result of that. And I just want to say that if any of you that live in the city have any issues or concerns and you'd like to meet with me, please feel free to email me. Let me know what your concerns are and when you would like to meet. And if you want to get somebody from your community together, I'm more than willing to go out there and meet you on an evening and talk about what's occurring within your community. And I'll do whatever I can to facilitate a solution for whatever problem you have. I, too, attended the Russ Miller Run on February 1st. It was a great event. Compared to the year before where it was pouring on us, it really was a good turnout. I wish we would have had more academy classes. Shame on me. I should have reached out to our academy and asked them to send some recruits like they did the year before. So I'll make sure we do that next year. We're looking forward to the cornfeed run. I don't know if we're going to run in it or not, but I'm going to try. But I also want to commend Coach Alex Angulo from Chino High School. His wrestling program there won league for the first time in many, many years. So my hat's off to him for doing a good job over there and turning that program around. And that's all I have for today.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of recruiting, Officer Tillman, Ryan Tillman, did the announcing at the Run for Russ, and he was really promoting recruiting for the PD. And I think maybe he got one, which was the winner of the whole run. Little gal came in before everybody, and I guess she just graduated with a degree in some kind of criminal degree, and is interested in Chino PD. So
She was just waiting for that vote tonight. Or she's not allowed to roll around.
no, she's not a lateral.
Oh,
She's
sorry.
brand new. Brand new. But the Vegas run is coming up, so if you can hurry up and get her on board, she might help with Chino's position in the run. Anyway, he did a great job. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you. I recently attended a SCAG meeting that focused on SoCal plan for dealing with and developing a sustainable community strategy. Some of the facts that I learned from there was they're going to be focusing on addressing specific targets for greenhouse gas emissions. And there was also a discussion how this information was going to be distributed through one-on-one engagement with local jurisdictions and county transportation commissions, regional planning working groups, and community-based organizations and other organizations and groups. I learned that 57% of renters are paying more than 30% of their income just on housing. Since 1984, we have lost 21% of our farmlands. There's an average of 100 hours stuck in traffic, maybe more than that, I would think, for some of us. 78% of the population living in flood hazard areas are minorities. And by the year 2045, 1 in 5 people will be age 65. That will tell us that we will need in our city a greater focus on seniors that would need more assistance with living areas and so forth. I also, in January the 16th, I attended the Crestview Terrace groundbreaking ceremony. I was invited by the company to go out and see this. Crestview is in the third phase of the large Arrowhead Grove neighborhood revitalization, which is located, they were able to revitalize and take over Waterman and Foothill up there. It was really downgraded, so they really brought it up. But what I found out was that in this third phase, they're building 184 apartment homes for individuals and families with incomes beginning in 30% of the median income. What was interesting is that the National Corps' commitment is to develop this for people that are unable to buy or have rents. They have a waiting list of individuals that you can rent a home for $9 a month if you qualify, or $1,100 a month. The square areage of the units are probably about 1,200 square feet, 2 bedrooms, living room, a kitchen area, and bathroom, and also with solar on the roofs. So the project works with the Housing Authority County of San Bernardino, which is very committed to helping the individuals there in that area, or anyone really in the county of San Bernardino. January 22nd, I too attended the FedEx ceremony celebration, and it's a huge property that's going to be able to offer not only a more fiscal income for the city, but also some jobs. I spoke to some people that live in the area. They work for FedEx, and they're really happy that they're not going to be stuck on the 100 hours on the freeway on an average. You can just go straight to the job center there. January 25th, I attended and was invited to the Asian Lunar New Year in Ontario Center. And we must all remember that it's the year of the rat. And in Spanish, that would be the year of the rata, right? So I'm sure that it will be an exciting year for all the rats that we have amongst us. There was a lot of music, food, youth demonstrations, and even a minor league, the Clippers even were able to play a basketball game. So it was a lot of fun. January 31st, I attended the Vision 2020, which was to promote and develop the economic prosperity and quality of life for our region right here, the Inland Empire, which includes Chino. There were some topics that were discussed, and I'll try to make short on that. They spoke about the census. That is extremely important. And we know that 1.13 million in the Inland Empire live in census tracts with high, hard-to-count scores. So what happens when we are undercounted? Well, we're going to lose $1,000 in federal dollars per year per person. And what does that mean? California may lose a congressional seat. The Inland Empire will likely lose representation if the census is not done completely. So it's very important to really get the people to be counted, especially children to be counted. We have bad population and bad marketing, which is also going to be contributed to that if the census is low. We won't have the gold standard and benchmarks to really do any of the surveys because the census will be incorrect. So it's very important to have a correct census for this year. They spoke about connectivity or transportation, and there's projects that will improve tie within the corridor of the Inland Empire. They're going to be trying to relieve congestion and improve traffic flow on regional transportation systems by providing time savings and trip reliability for all those who use the I-10 and the 60. For example, the population will grow by 38% between 2012 and 2040, and employment will grow by 54% just in our region here in the Inland Empire. San Bernardino County is expected to grow by more than 500,000 people and 250,000 jobs over the next 25 years. During this time, the number of vehicles will grow by 370,000. So let's talk about traffic, right? 370,000 vehicles within 25 years. All traveling on virtually the same roads and highways, which is the 60, our local streets, and the 10 freeway and the 15. They're working to deploying also low emission trains with zero emissions. H2 fleet vehicles in 2024 will be using cleaner air emission for all that. This is a good one here, that there will be a bullet train being developed by the Virgin Corporation, the ones that have the cruise liners and also the airlines, from Victorville to Las Vegas. So I would advise everyone to start saving their pennies so you can have a quick ride to Vegas. Lastly, concerning with Metro Water District in Southern California, a lot has been said, but what they're looking at is they're going to be supporting to work on to ensure that the progress on a Delta conveyance and Eco Restore up in Northern California with a new tunnel that will bring water down to us in Southern California. So they are working with the environment to ensure that the habitat is also protected when this is being done. These projects are enacted to secure water for our own growing populations down here. Neighbors without homes. The intent of the newly enacted housing bill is to break down legal barriers to housing production and to create more affordable housing. Housing has not kept up with the growing population. One of the consequences is, however, the state's erosion of the city's police power, because the police will then be regulated to the land use. So it's going to be harder for our first responders to be working with this. Also, the new laws also make it more difficult to deny affordable housing projects. When they become laws, and we have to follow them. Some of the bills will require the city to revise their ordinances or have them be deemed void due to conflict with statutory laws. We become obstructionists if we ignore change that supports the needs of people, with the great possibility of being sued, $10,000 to $100,000 per month. So it's important to keep our eyes to all these new housing that are happening here. It would hurt us fiscally. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, I have two items. One is we're going to begin our preserve office hours. So those that want to discuss staff and what's going on down in the preserve will be meeting this Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. At the community center there down near Cal Arrow School. Also, Kiwanis Club is hosting their annual play, and it's occurring from February 13th to the 16th, and all the proceeds from that event go back to the theater, so I would encourage folks to come out.
Do you know anybody in that play,
I do.
Matt? Yeah.
Originally, people wanted me to be in the play, and I volunteered my wife, so I owe her probably an extended Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I would say so.
Who do we
Anyway,
contact for tickets, Matt?
Please come out. They're available at the box office. It's also available online. I can, I have it right here.
Just Google it.
Yeah, I would just Google
the
the
7th
play.
Street Theater?
And, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Galante.
Thank you. Just very briefly to follow up on Councilmember Hargrove's comment on the ADU regulations. We are working with your staff. More and more, the state strips our ability to provide protective measures to maintain your local control. As you know, one example is that you used to be able to prohibit renting out an accessible dwelling unit, an ADU, if you didn't own or occupy at least one of the units. That's been stripped. So we're working with staff, but it is a moving target because the regulations, as you know, continue to be changed. So
I think the tragic thing is that the citizens that live here do not understand this. And if their neighborhoods are already impacted with parking problems, and then these accessory density units get added in, and they don't require garages to be built.
That's right.
Or parking spaces, and so conditions that are already uncomfortable are going to get worse. People don't understand that, complain to us, and we have no control. It's the state's taking over our control. And as Mark mentioned, people move to a community because they like the feel, they like the look, they like the atmosphere. All of a sudden it changes, and many of them don't understand that power to regulate is being taken out of our hands.
And the congestion and parking issues used to be a good rationale for cities to prohibit them if they created impact, but that's no longer authorized. So,
and it just makes no sense. I understand increased density near major traffic corridors, transportation corridors, where maybe it makes sense, but allowing this infill increase in regular neighborhoods just defies logic. Just defies logic.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Chief Simmons.
The council. First of all, I want to thank you and our community for helping us keep the memory of Russ Miller alive. 20 years ago this month, he was killed, and this community has shown that they have not forgotten his sacrifice, and that means a lot to us here at the Chino Police Department, so thank you. Two things, we're hosting a community meeting next Wednesday to discuss facial recognition software. So I know some people have concerns about that, and that's why we're opening our doors to talk about that. Part of this software that we're looking at does not go out and use social media and take photos from social media or from our body cameras. This is specifically related to surveillance photo. Somebody comes to us and said, I have video of this person who committed a crime, whether it be stole a package off my doorstep or broke into my business. Why can't you find this person? And this helps us identify those people. So if people are interested in that, please come on out and we can talk about that, and then we'll share what we find with council.
What time is that, when?
That's at 6 p.m. next Wednesday, February 12th at the Chino Police Department.
Okay.
And then starting March 12th, Thursday, March 12th, we're going to be hosting our new Spanish Citizens Academy program. So that's going to be from Thursday, March 12th for 5 Thursdays, concluding on Thursday, April 2nd. Excuse me, it's 4 Thursdays from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and the whole program will be done in Spanish. So for our Spanish-speaking community, we're really encouraging them to sign up. They can go to our social media sites or contact Crime Prevention Specialist Natalie Aguirre at 909-334-3510 to register for that program, and we're really excited to get that launched.
Very good.
That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Chief,
Yes.
you had a special guest today that showed up?
I did. So Chief 15, Stan Stewart, who retired in 2009, came out from Texas. His wife's brother was Chief Michael Oliveri from Pomona, who retired this last week. So he came out for his retirement, and I do want to say that Mike Oliveri actually started at the Chino Police Department as a cadet before he went to Pomona. So yes, he came and visited, and he was able to see the station that he helped envision prior to him leaving. So it was pretty neat to have him visit.
Did you direct him to the nearest barber shop? And
Oh my gosh, he showed me I would not have recognized him. Oh my gosh.
So, you know, having to shave for many years, I think people retire and they like to let loose. And I would actually say he looks pretty clean cut right now.
Really? Oh my gosh. Long hair and a great big old beard. I would not have recognized him. Crazy.
I'm glad he's enjoying his retirement.
He's enjoying his retirement. So thank you very much for that.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
What, Stubby? You object? Okay, I don't see Chief Shackelford. Come on up.
Mayor Ulloa, council members, I just want to thank you for having us here tonight. I just got a couple things. We have just had several retirements in the upwards of several hundred years of experience leave. With that being said, we're sad for that, but we're really excited for the new energy that's coming about in the fire district. We're getting ready to promote 4 engineers, 4 fire captains, 2 battalion chiefs, and 2 deputy chiefs. So it's really good movement for us. Also want to let you know that our Heart Safe and Bleed Safe communities that has all been supported by the city is working. We have data that's demonstrating to us that these programs are actually saving lives. So we're very, very excited about that. With a safety note, just for the weather changing, we have these space heaters that people are using. We just want to encourage you that as you use those, as these temperatures change, be mindful to not place them near your bed, clothing that's on the floor, drapes, things like this. Ideally, we would like to recommend that when you leave your premises, go ahead and unplug them or turn them off. Some habits are to leave them on to keep it warm. They do work fast, so just be mindful about that. And we look forward to seeing you at the Mayor's Breakfast.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, and with that, a reminder, we are adjourning our meeting in memory of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, John, Carrie, and Alyssa Adabelli, Christian Mauser, Ara Zobanyan, and also Sarah and Peyton Chester. With that, we will adjourn to our regular meeting, which will be held on Tuesday, February 18th, with closed session starting at 6 p.m. if necessary. We are adjourned.